So now we'll talk about, we'll start with this specific movie clip. Okay. So I don't know whether you have seen this movie called AI. Okay. And this movie called AI, there was a small robotic child who was adopted by a human couple. And then something happened when the child started understanding, this robot started getting a feeling that his uh, parents are not loving him the way a living child would be loved. Okay. So there was an old story of Pinocchio, however you say. There was this carpenter who made a wooden doll, and he was so alone, lonely. He wanted this wooden doll to become human being. He named that wooden doll to be Pinocchio. Okay. And then what happened is that he said he actually wished to the blue fairy to make this wooden doll to be a human being. So listening to this story, this child robot, or this ever child robot, also thought that if this story is this information is right, then there must be a blue fairy who could actually convert him to a real life boy or real boy. Okay. So he actually started asking every night to this blue fairy, please make me a real life boy. Okay. So you can see that this small movie clip and this small backstory actually can give you a essence of the artificial intelligence. Just I want to a machine, a boy, or we all want, the system, the society is asking for some to play God, actually, to make a machine or system or any kind of a non-living object to act like a real life living object. Okay. So with that, we really need to understand what is the specific characteristic feature of a living object that was so fascinating. Okay, what is very, very unique in itself. So first of all is thinking, then learning, understanding, then feeling. Okay, so these thinking, learning, understanding, and feeling, they are very intertwined if you think properly. Okay, so they are actually, the definitions are also very overlapping if you really think in your mind. Okay. So so when we started, actually when I started working on these fields, I suddenly, after you the people who have done PhD or are going through this work of PhD, or the people who are aspiring, okay, you know that the review work is atrocious, it is rigorous. Okay, so after reading huge number of papers given by everyone that I can find of, okay, suddenly it struck to me, what I really have no idea what is actually human learning, what it is that we are trying to impose onto the machine, okay, to make a machine act like a human being. Okay. So then I started actually thinking and a little bit digging out on learning, how human learning works, and how human learning can be transferred to machine. Okay. Now, so they come up, when we started very crudely, the learning is defined as the act or experience. It is also said to be the knowledge or skill acquired by the help of any instruction or by the help of study. Okay. And sometimes the learning is also defined as modification of behavioral tendency by experience. What kind of experience? Most of the time, exposure to the surrounding situation or to a specific situation. So these are the kind of things that are more or less defining a learning in human. Okay. So if you remember the act of experience, how we get this experience? So we see them, we gather it, we gather this data, or we actually take input from this experience by our eyes, or we listen to them. Sometimes we even taste them. Okay, the taste is a very crucial experience which we do not most of the time consider, but you can see that our whole nourishment system depend on it. If it is not tasty, I don't know how many of you have kids in your home. If it is not tasty, then that food to be inserted in their mouth is very difficult. Okay. Then you have got this smell, then you have got touch, feel, and all. Okay, so these are the ways we gather experience. These are all act or experience. Now there are instructions, there are studies, so you can read yourself to gather knowledge, you can see people working on it, or you can get an instruction like the teachers and student scenario. Someone will impart the experience or impart the knowledge to you, and from that you will learn to know how the things are supposed to be. And then there is a modification of behavioral tendency by experience. Okay, this is a crucial fact in human civilization, and without this modification of behavior through existence, we would not have been considered as civilized, or we would have not been evolved as we have now. But you can see the animation. I think only one thing is a very kind of a funny, that we started with the posture and we ended with the same posture. So modification of behavior does not mean a drastic change. It might be also going to a full circle. Okay. Now, after that, what we have all those data that we have acquired by various means, various ways, with various organs or various kind of experiences. Okay, and then what we do is we go on kind of putting the data in our mind, right? This one you should clarify with some people, what is the difference between mind and brain. Okay, so let us think that we are putting the data in our mind. Okay, so you can see the yellow blocks are getting. Now sometimes we also forget the data. Okay, so this blue structure is a kind of a imitation of a brain, and we are acquiring data and we are putting them in some places, we are dropping them, we are changing them, we are doing several things with them. Okay, so now how we learn actually. Let's talk about human learning and how they learn. There are 9 different ways they say. The people who work on pedagogy say that human species learn. Okay. Most of the time, they start with by doing, or by reading, by getting a material and going through it. Sometimes they also learn by seeing the people doing it, seeing the television, seeing the scenario change, whatever. Okay. Then by interacting with other people, you do learn by interacting, communicating, discussing with people. Okay. By reasoning it out, by drawing reasonable conclusions about a fact, or by experimenting some things. Okay, trying to do new things and see what happens. Sometimes we do learn by facing our fears. Sometimes we do learn by facing the challenges. Okay, and the last, they say that you learn by searching inside yourself. This one is a difficult one. I'm not an expert on this one. So I'm not an expert to talk about this one. I have a teenage kid. So if I could meet you after say 15 to 20 years, I might search inside myself and let you know what is about it. Now let's talk about steps of learning. See, there was a very famous mathematician, Blaise Pascal. He said, our nature consists of motion and complete rest is death. So this is the essence of our start point of learning. Okay. The first thing that we learn is called, let me shift this fellow over here, motor learning. That is anything that produces or imparts motion or movement. Okay. You see, human fetus starts learning. Hold on a second. This is a 24 weeks along fetus, and you can see it is trying to move its the different body parts and actually trying to manipulate its body parts and generate movements inside the mother's womb. Okay, so the fetus starts learning from a very early age. Okay, the movement can be anything. The movement can be the eye movement, the jaw movement, the lip movement, the hand movement. It can be the movement of grabbing something, or it might be the movement in essence what we think walking, or it might be the covering of distance. Okay, so this is the first thing the human species in their nascent stage starts learning. First thing we learn is how to move. The next thing we learn is how to communicate. Okay, so if you remember, it's how to move. The next thing we learn is how to communicate. Okay, so if you remember ABCDEFG teaching to all the kids. Okay, so first we in the communications arena, first we start learning sounds, different sounds. Okay. Then we learn languages, signs, pictures, symbols, everything of them. So this is the next step of learning. Is there something happening? Someone wants to say something, there's a sound coming on. Okay, so let's move on. So this is called verbal learning. Okay. The next is our concept learning. After we have more or less somehow in a quite comfortable stage of movement